akan ada lah 2.30 insyaAllah data bising ada.
Okey, terima kasih.
Sound okey tuan
Terang, sangat jelas.
Okey, terima kasih tuan.
Apa ni? Siapa? Itu yang ID. Yang siapa?
Okey. So maksudnya kalau Datuk tak nak kamera, dia akan stop sini lah. Okey. Sekian ada 18.
Hello everybody. Nice to meet all of you.
Ini partisipan ni lah. Partisipan yang hadir ketika sebelum. Tapi ini yang host adalah yang dikontrol kan.
So maksudnya nanti kita minta
partisipan hilang.
Welcome everybody to this ATU-Net UPF Series 2.
Ni tak mute apa?
Saya akan datang sini.
Ni untuk mute ikon kat ni lah. Ni sekarang ni dia macam tak mute kan. Dan ni
Okey.
apa cakap lah. Ni tak tengok betul. Mana tahu cakap lah.
Cuan suara 1, 2, 3, 4.
Percubaan suara 1, 2, 3 daripada UTHM.
Tunjuk video mobility boleh tunjuk kot. Boleh tunjuk ni, tunjuk mobility punya video.
Saya dah boleh ulang-ulang apa tu, dah boleh main tu.
Waalaikumsalam. From UTHM, welcome. From Nizar. Okay. Prof Razaida is here. Show yourself. Prof Razaida.
Hai Bro Niza.
Duduk. Okay.
Hai, thank you.
Vice Chancellor is here, but he's not here yet, but he's
Okay.
Yang intronya.
Hello, Assalamualaikum Prof Niza. Boleh dengar suara saya?
yes, very clear.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Tak keluar lagi.
Wih, macam-macam gadget ni. Jom. Oh. So kat mana Oh, ni santai. Oh, macam-macam kamera ni. Okey.
Nanti lepas Datuk ada bagi keynote, Datuk akan kat situ.
Okey. Dia nampak, kalau saya pegang ni nampak tak?
Ni saya, yang ni kami dah buat pakai slide.
Oh, okey.
Boleh cuba.
Oh, ini macam budak sekolah lah ni. Okey, okey. Okey, cuba tengok one round.
Nampak jelas tak?
Nampak, nampak.
On dia. So yang akan control nanti.
Laser arrow.
Oh. Presiden you tak, Datuk Wahid you tak ni. Dia ada, tak ada.
Dia dah ready. Tak dalam sini, dalam sini tak ada. Dalam sini ni.
Tak apa, tak apa. It's okay. Saya ada kat ingat kat situ. Oh, ini dah macam
Mobility ni kita promote mobility program. Sebelum program start.
okey. Tak apalah, saya masuk dalam tu,
Dalam teks ni. Kita bagi sikit lah.
dalam kat sini. Dia presiden kan
Ya?
Chairman. Wahid Omar. Wahid Razali pula. Ya.
Nanti yang yellow tu nampak macam kecil.
Oh, habis?
Jangan sandar lah.
Yang sandar.
Itu.
Kalau duduk.
Itu.
Okey.
Angle satu.
Kalau macam ni okey.
Itu lagi tak okey.
Oh, bukan santai. Okey. Ini official kan?
Baju sikit. Nanti baju. Okey. Dalam kamera tak cantik.
Ya.
Kalau gini nanti baju dia macam terangkat gini. Kalau nanti ni tangan nanti terangkat.
Okey, okey.
Dia macam
Okey,
terangkat.
ikut. Dia tu nampak setakat mana?
Kat sini tu.
Oh, aku tak boleh pegang-pegang paper lah kan?
Tak salah. Tadi dia pergi tak? Ke mute tadi? Tu wire dia. Tak belakang tu.
Gambar je videonya dah ambil semua, tinggal nak edit je.
Okey. Boleh tak? Faisaluddin slide belum ni. Tadi saya ada edit baru. Ya, the latest one. Minta latest. tinggal lah. Beritahu Faisal sekejap tu. Eh.
Betul keynote Datuk tulisan dalam 25. Ha? Kan 25. Mana hari 25 tak ada juga. Swiss.
Oh, few wishes kat situ.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Zahra. Welcome. Prof. Zahra, you can please unmute if you wish to speak.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Prof. Wahid Razali, the Vice Chancellor of UTHM, is with me, sitting
Yes.
next to me. I don't think.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam, Professor Datuk. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Thank you for,
Alhamdulillah.
you know.
Thank you for the kind invitation.
Sure.
Yeah.
We are part of ATU, aren't you?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Datuk Wahid Omar, is he around? Yeah, I think he's around. Yeah.
Okay, now we can see Datuk VC. Okay.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam. Is that Prof. Wahid, Datuk Wahid? Datuk Wahid Omar. Exactly.
Datuk, I need to see your face.
So I think better I put in my mute mode and
Yeah.
also video on lah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. UPSI.
Yeah, Datuk Sata, thank you.
Terima kasih.
Datuk UTHM pun ada juga. Datuk Raha pun ada. Siapa lagi? Niza UTHM. Okay.
terdepan.
Minister ada.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very warm welcome to all our guest speakers, our respected Vice Chancellors, Deputy Vice Chancellors, and all the viewers around the world. This is University Tun Hisun Malaysia and your host for today in this all-important University Presidents Forum 2020 Series 2, organized by Asia Technological University Network or ATU-Net. For your information, Asia Technological University Network was formed in 2016 and now comprises of at least 30 university members around Asia. If you have been a viewer for UPF Forum Series 1, which was hosted by University Technology Malaysia on 15 July 2020, I am sure you have been captivated by the presentation and discussion conducted by the speakers on the theme, Embracing the New Norm, Leadership, Values and Skills. Likewise, for this Series 2, we will have distinguished speakers who will be giving their expert opinion towards the theme of this forum entitled Building Academic Resilience in the Post-COVID-19 World. We all know that COVID-19 pandemic have impacted our daily lives, our routines have changed, and importantly, COVID-19 has also impacted the implementation of higher education around the world. And unfortunately, we are now in uncharted territory. Why? Because from a few months ago, our daily lives have had to change. Our normal lifestyle has changed. Social distancing, wear masks, wash hands, and worse, deserted cities are the new normal. Across the world, attempts to stop the spread of the virus causes government to implement total lockdowns or partial lockdowns. Essentially, lockdowns are to control the spread of this disease, which is important. But this action eventually causes temporary closure to schools and universities, not only in Malaysia, but around the world. But we are here not to discuss about COVID-19. We are here to discuss about how we, as academicians, students, and other interested parties, to build academic resilience in this post-COVID-19 world. So friends and colleagues, how do we actually build academic resilience? What does it mean to the very people involved, either directly or indirectly, the students, the academic staffs, administrators, parents, and various stakeholders? Therefore, to help us to understand this issue and to provide better clarity, we are very fortunate to have with us a number of guest speakers who are leaders in their respective fields and organizations and who are ready to share their views, their experience towards meeting the theme of this forum. The forum will commence by a welcoming speech from the Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hisun Malaysia, and this will then be followed by 2 keynote addresses. The first keynote speaker will be the Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hisun Malaysia, Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk T.S. Dr. Wahid bin Razali. This will be followed by the second keynote speaker, which will be delivered by the Minister of Higher Education Malaysia, Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Noraini Ahmad. At the end of the keynote addresses, there will be a short question and answer session, and this will be followed by a special engagement video presentation from the industry, community, academia, and student representative. After the video presentation, we will then be hearing the views and thoughts from our 4 distinguished guest speakers. The first speaker is Professor Dr. Dayang Hajah Zohra Haji Sulaiman, the Vice Chancellor of University Technology Brunei. The second speaker is Ms. Christine Wong Bei, Group Vice President and Head International Affairs and Government Relations, JD.com China. The third speaker is Professor Dr. Chun Fai Leong, President, International Press Association from Japan. And the fourth and final speaker will be Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International of University Tun Hisun Malaysia. By the end of the presentation, question and answer session will follow through, where each speaker will be allocated 1 question each. After the session finishes, we will then witness a special launching of the ATU-Net Online Global Classroom, or OGC. ATU-Net OGC is made possible by collaboration among ATU-Net members to offset the absence of physical mobility and to create opportunities for students across the network to meet online, to learn and to connect. I will then finish by making a short summary of the forum and closing remark, which should take us up to about 4:30 p.m. Malaysia time. Lastly, at the end of this program, Zoom viewers will have a 30-minute special engagement session with the Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. So please join us in this special session. And I've now come to the end of my short introduction, and I would like to wish all viewers a wonderful, eventful, and fruitful time during this entire program. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delays, I would like to call upon Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Wahid Razali, the Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, to give us his welcoming speech. Datuk, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. Aziz. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to everyone, either you are in Malaysia or elsewhere in all parts of the world. Our Honorable Keynote Speaker, Yang Berhormat Dato' Dr. Noraini Ahmad, our Minister of Higher Education, all the university presidents present here today, and of course, I would like to also say thank you to the Chairman of the ATU-Net, that is the Vice Chancellor of UTHM, Professor Dato' Dr. Wahid Noma, and also all the rectors that I've seen today from Malaysia. At least 5 Vice Chancellors in Malaysia are here together to share their views and things like that, and also rectors and presidents of ATU-Net members. Ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, I think it's a great honor that for me to greet all of you by saying Selamat Datang and welcome to the second series of Virtual University President Forum 2020. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to the team from UTHM for untiring efforts to ensure that the success of this event. Also, to the ATU-Net Secretariat from UTM, who has helped lots with the team of UTHM in many aspects, as well as given the opportunity for UTHM to host this wonderful event. Thank you, UTM, and thank you to Dato' Wahid Omar. And this is actually the second series of the University President Forum, and the first one, as informed by the chairman just now, was at UTM and was held on the 15th July 2020, whilst the third one will be hosted by ATU-Net partner Shibara Institute of Technology on the 17th September 2020. And I hope that every one of us will have time to join the third ATU-Net seminar or meetings. As you may already know, that UPF is organized for providing a platform to discuss current issues related to higher education, as well as outline strategies and action planned for the future improvement of the collaboration and cooperation between participating universities in many aspects. And we are also that the world has been astounded by the COVID-19 pandemic, which we always term them as new norms. So what I can say here is the uniqueness of this UPF 2020 is the platform where everyone is connected virtually. This is how we and other people in the world is currently and struggling, adapting, learning, nurturing, and also flourishing and cultivating the development of perseverance after the COVID-19. Whether we survive or not, that depends so much on how much we work and how much we collaborate with one another. And it is undeniable that there is opportunity in every difficulty, and therefore we should be moving forward together and find creative and innovative ways and means, particularly in building academic resilience. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of UTHM, I would like again to thank the Minister of Higher Education for having time with us, and also UTM for leading these programs. And again, please enjoy the afternoon, and I hope that every one of us will enjoy the session and for the good and benefit of respective universities. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein Malaysia, for giving us your welcoming speech. I am sure that the audiences will be very keen to listen and to learn from this forum about how we can build academic resilience through this post-COVID-19, and the sharing of different experiences from our speakers will also, I'm sure, benefit all the audiences today. So now we'll come to the keynote address, and the keynote address, the first keynote address will be delivered by our beloved Datuk Vice Chancellor, Professor Datuk T.S. Dr. Wahid bin Razali. Now, before I ask him to deliver his keynote address, allow me to read his biodata.
Sure. Save the time.
Okay. Professor Datuk T.S. Dr. Wahid bin Razali, he is a specialist in the field of TVET or TVET, Curriculum and Engineering Education. He started his study in civil engineering and obtained his PhD in engineering education from University of Manchester, United Kingdom in 2000. He has participated actively in professional bodies such as Board of Engineers Malaysia and Malaysia Board of Technologies, MBOT. He started his academic career as a lecturer at the Polytechnic Engku Omar in Perak in 1983. Now, without any further delay, I call upon Yang Berbahagia Datuk to deliver his keynote address. Okay. Datuk, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Prof. Aziz, for letting me instead of the minister first, as the minister, I think, is still in the parliament now, busy with the question and answers, and therefore she will come after my slot. I think the basic idea of why resilience is so important is because that everybody is talking about it. So we talk about resilience with respect to how can we survive during the time of this pandemic. And it's important that as higher education, we understand the whole situation in hand. Perhaps let me have a look first into what is, or as for yesterday, that about 20 million of coronavirus cases. And mind you that it may involve some of our students, some of our learners, some of our teachers, some of our lecturers, and perhaps our relative. But about 1.3 billion basically are affected by this. And out of that, 70% of the total enrolled learners. Take example for Malaysia, that when pandemic COVID-19 was, looming around the country, so all schools, all universities, colleges, or polytechnics will have got to follow the SOP, meaning that either close or we have got to somehow follow a very strict regulation and SOP by the Ministry of Health. And indeed, this is very important, that university like us discuss and think of how we can move on with respect to academic excellence. And I think getting this figure from McKinsey and also Bloomberg, the low-skilled jobs in market are at risk of automations, or in other words, are at risk of losing their jobs. So these are mainly those in the frontliners, those involved with the real, communication or meeting with people. And the least perhaps to have the job loss is of those involved, like IT managers and so on. So these are important for us to have some understanding of why that today I'm suggesting that the issue of TVET should be put forward as an important agenda of the country, at least in Malaysia. Next, please. And coming from the point of view of what do we do, perhaps let me just explain a bit that when we talk about resilience, it's about being able to follow through the adversity. And in this context, I feel that pandemic COVID-19 is an adversity by itself. And how do you mediate the processes so that we could have a better expected outcomes than what we are having now? So this is, by definition, is what I understand by resilience. And therefore, resilience is a process. Resilience also is a multi-level, which means that it has got to follow through from the top, from the Ministry of Higher Education or Ministry of Education, and then to the universities or schools, and also to individual learners and also families. And these, the multi-levels mediating processes have got to be, strengthened so that on the whole, the country will be able to position itself to have a better than expected outcomes. I think all of you would agree with me if I say that pandemic or COVID-19 is disguising as pandemic, but at the same time, it provides us with some good experiences that improve our life in many ways. That, suddenly we realize that how much we can do that we could not or we refused to do in the past. So these are part of the thing that, as outcomes of pandemic. So not everything that COVID-19 or the virus brought to us is good or is bad. And more things are coming up in the form of, understanding, in the form of practices. So this is actually what we need to discuss at the higher education. Okay, how can we move on with respect to education? Next, please. I think to start off, let me begin is what is the attributes or new capabilities within the range of time that we are having now. The COVID-19, in the midst of COVID-19, also post-COVID-19. Definitely that if we look around, that we need to have people who can expand the ability to operate in a fully digital environment. We also need people or students who can develop skills to ensure that they are critical and they are able to redesign and also innovate. And thirdly, it must be strengthening of social and emotional skills to ensure effective collaboration. And of course, the point that we are discussing today is that how that one, in the midst of COVID-19, could build up adaptability and resilience skills to thrive during evolving in a business situation. So these are, I guess, not a new thing, but additional thing that we must provide to our students or our graduates. Okay, next please. And there are lots of challenges, and of course, but under the leadership of Dr. Noraini, the Minister of Higher Education, that TVET has been placed into a role that is greater or more than before. For example, that all along that the Ministry of Higher Education have initiated about 29 initiatives. I'd like just to quote one initiative, that is number 26. That's every universities or colleges must provide flexible education and digitalization of education, which means urban university, or how to urbanize our education. The idea of making sure that CBE or competency-based education, making sure that everything is stackable by having micro-credential or having credit transfer all around, making sure that there is what we call holistic assessment, and also having the opportunity to practice what we call blended learning or open and distance learning. So my colleague, Professor Ismail, will talk a little bit more on what would be the initiative at the university level. And not only that, but I think the ministry is also concerned with what would happen to our graduates. So yearly there are about perhaps about 300,000 graduates. So which means that we have got to take care of the jobs. So, and still that the Minister of Higher Education have embarked on what we call upskillings of our graduates. I guess, and perhaps the Minister would announce in a bit later that a new initiative for this. I hope so, inshallah. Okay, next please. And rethinking about the reshaping of the TVET talent, I guess that the key element of TVET, that is learning, work, and technology. If you ask me which of the following three, what we call triangle, has the least movement of change in the last few decades, I guess it would be the learning. The learning has a lot to move, and the learning has a lot to change. And only this learning that, together with the good practices of work and technology, would be able to shape the right talents for the industries. And therefore, I think the role of a university as a whole is not to isolate learning from the technology and not to isolate learning from the work. This is a very important thing, that this is how the perspective of TVET trainer is, meaning that these three elements must get together. And of course, coming from the background of competency-based education, what is important is that we need to address this future learning thrust that is experiential, that we should be able to provide experience to our learners. The theme, technology, flexibility, student-centeredness, collaboration, engagement, and creativity. So these are, to my opinion, is a simple, and this is not at the end of the list, but at least that in the midst of COVID-19 or post-COVID-19, we must remember that we have jobs to do, and the industries have got jobs to do, but experiential learning, despite the fact that COVID-19 forbids people from communicating and also collaborating within close proximity where learning should happen. But I guess we need to find ways how we could address this issue of experiential or doing the element of doing. Because I believe sincerely that without doing, I wouldn't like to call you an expert. Without having to do things, then I wouldn't like to say that you are good at it. And therefore, as a TVET institution, I think the idea of how to shape the talent so that they are experiential in nature, at the same time, they are also adaptable and also resilient, is a very important question that every one of us will have got to answer. Next, please. And the challenge is how can we move from the conventional TVET that we are having now, as in the slide there, and into the new TVET that we should be doing? How much is the gap between the conventional and also the new TVET? So this is a bit of an issue that we need to address. However, I would like just to provide perhaps very conceptual understanding of how we should do this. Next, please. And most of the time that previously that we are focusing on the practicals, and of course a little bit on the virtuality, that we are on the left side of the graph. But in the midst of COVID-19, I guess that we have got to work out what could we do as lecturers and students to have the mixed reality activities within our curriculum. So perhaps this is the challenge as well as the potential of TVET in the future. And for that, I guess that it would be future-oriented, cost reduction, the scalability, and also shareability. Therefore, I would like to urge universities to share as much as UTHM is sharing the online courses, MOOC to advanced hours. But for TVET purposes, where we need to use our hands and perhaps some other physics to do work, then perhaps practical things or really doing things is still a very important aspect of our activities. And if we can do that, then pre-lab and also augmented reality would be the next better things. And if nothing cannot be provided for, then perhaps virtual reality is our next move to that. So perhaps, so this is, the thing that we should be moving on. And in the midst of those, that I would like to have a thought on this and provide some form of framework that how we should go about it. But I always believe that technology is a matter of, choice. You can have a low and high technologies. You can have a pen and pencil, but you can have the whole virtual lab to yourself. However, important is that the core, the thinking and the doing must be there. I will not have time to elaborate on this, what do I mean by digital TVET learning society framework, but I guess that the first thing that we need to do is that to be able to digitalize everything that we would like to consider as content into the cloud and also into the digital format before we can do much. And with that, I guess I would like to, leave it to the floor to think for yourself and to register your disagreement with me if you disagree. And please, everything should start from ideas, and we discuss. And I hope that this platform of ATU-Net would be able to come up with something for our own goods and our respective universities or the CEOs of universities' future. So thank you very much, and I hope that you will have more to say after this. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Dato, for the excellent speech and the sharing of your ideas about TVET and the possible ways that TVET will contribute towards higher education post-COVID-19 in the context of Malaysia or even around the world. So I can just touch a bit about what you have mentioned. You have mentioned a few very important points in your speech just now, Dato. One of the first points I gather was the academic resilience that you touched. And you mentioned that academic resilience is a process, which is rightly so, because it is a long process and it involves a lot of, it is sort of a multi-level tasking. Yeah. Various organizations are involved in making sure that academic resilience will be covered throughout everybody concerned. Secondly, Dato have touched on the people skills, which is also very, very vital in this post-COVID-19 pandemic situation, where we need people to improve their skills towards the digital environment that we have now. And then, Yang Berapa Dato, you also touched on the matter of flexible education and the digitalization of education, which is necessary as what we have now been facing in this COVID-19 situation. And And finally, I would like to say that you have touched about the experiential learning, which is a very important aspect of TVET, because for conventional TVET, you need to touch and hold things. This is part of the conventional TVET. But now, due to the COVID-19 situation, what do we do next? So I think that have thrown us a few questions to all of us to ponder. And he did touch on one aspect of how we can overcome this situation is about virtual reality. So this is something that we can think about. So thank you very much, Datuk, for this excellent speech. I'm sure all of us have you've given us a lot of thoughts to think about during this afternoon session. So now we come to the second keynote speaker, which is our Minister of Higher Education, Yang Berhormat Datuk Dr. Noraini Ahmad. And is the video? So without any delay, I would like to invite Yang Berhormat Dr. Noraini Ahmad to give us her keynote address.
Good afternoon and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, I would like to express my fullest gratitude to the Asia Technological University Network, or ATU-Net, chaired by Professor Dato' Insinyur Dr. Wahid Umar, the Vice Chancellor of University of Technology Malaysia, for organizing this event. I would also like to congratulate the chairman for the current event, Professor Dato' Dr. Wahid Razali, the Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, and all his team members for the successful and beneficial event. Last but not least, to all invited speakers, Professor Dr. Dayang Haja Zohra Haji Sulaiman, the Vice Chancellor of University Technology Brunei, Ms. Christine Wong, Group Vice President and Head, International Affairs and Government Relations of JD.com, China, Professor Dr. Chun Fai Leung, President, International Pressing Associations, Japan, and Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International, University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, all Vice Chancellors and Presidents and all participants in this event. I am so pleased to be invited as keynote speaker in this ATU-Net Virtual University Presidents Forum 2020 Series 2. On behalf of the Ministry of Higher Education, we are very happy to have this event organized in Malaysia with the participation of various universities from all over the world. As we all know, COVID-19 has changed our education landscape in many aspects. We are now able to communicate with anyone without being or attending physically. Therefore, there is no excuse for not to be able to talk or collaborate between universities in the world. As I speak, a new normal or collaboration can now be done anywhere, anytime, and can be done quickly. So, ladies and gentlemen, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been in good track in our Malaysian educational blueprint, Higher Education 2015-2025. The MEB Higher Education outlines 10 shifts that have spurred continued excellence in the higher education system. All 10 shifts address key performance issues in the system, particularly with regard to quality and efficiency, as well as global trends that are disrupting the higher education landscape. Under the Shift 8 Global Prominent, which is one of the shapes outlined in the blueprint, we have been striving for the encouragement and support system for all universities in Malaysia to collaborate with global universities. Therefore, I believe that this Virtual University Presidents Forum 2020 is in line with our expectation, and then the networking between all universities involved is really important in overcoming future challenges together. In another aspect, Malaysia also committed in establishment of digital technical and vocational education and training, or digital TVET, for upskilling and nurturing our talents and expanding their capabilities. I am proud to share that UTHM, which is the host, is one of TVET institutions that has offered TVET program for the students. Distinguished presidents, vice chancellors, ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 pandemic is the defining global health crisis and the greatest challenge we have faced in our lifetime. Since its emergence in Asia late last year, the virus has spread to every continent in the world, and cases are rising from millions around the globe. On record, this health crisis recorded nearly 21.1 million people having contracted the virus. However, the good news is that 12.9 million people recovered, but sadly, nearly 730,000 lives have been lost. All countries are racing and working hard to slow down the spread of the disease by testing and treating patients, carrying our contact tracing, limiting travel, quarantining citizens, and cancelling events, large gatherings, including social gatherings. In Malaysia, the government enforces lockdowns when and where it is necessary, and the Movement Control Order, or in short, MCO, which allows partial opening of essential malls and restricted movement by the people, closure of businesses, and thus causes people to lose their jobs and income with no way of knowing when normality will return. As an example, nations heavily dependent on tourism have empty hotels and deserted beaches. It was estimated by the International Labour Organization that up to 25 million jobs could be lost all over the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the very dark scenarios that we are now so familiar with and often heard of, or even encountered ourselves ever since the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic. But I'm happy to say that we are here not to discuss about COVID-19, its origins, or how the virus was spread, or how to stop the spread. Let's leave that to the experts and others to discuss those issues. But of course, and no doubt, we are as important as the next person in trying to stop the spread of this disease. We are here to discuss a very important issue that is very close to all of us in the academic fraternity. What does academic resilience actually means to all stakeholders involved, either directly or indirectly in higher education? The student the staff, academic and administrators, parents, and various stakeholders. Academic resilience refers to the ability of academicians and students alike to make the effort to succeed despite adverse circumstances by changing existing behaviors or developing new ones, such as applying new best practice, adopting with new disciplines, or having a clear and concrete planning for the future. From the above statement, I can gather 3 key words that I will share with the viewers. The first one, planning. The second, adopting. The third one is applying. The coronavirus crisis has forced many industries to rapidly reshape how they can do their business, including the higher education sector that is facing challenges and demands operationally and financially. Malaysia, which has become an attractive study destination, can also seize the new opportunities presented from this crisis. The Ministry has recently endorsed preventive and safety measures of the new norms that higher education institutions are required to abide by concerning the management of existing and new international students entering HEI campuses. International students bring various benefits in cultural exchanges, academic and research excellence, and many more. Anyhow, the flow of international students to Malaysia will most likely decrease in the fall. The coronavirus has hit all of us hard and may dissuade some international students from coming. Challenges and delays in obtaining visas in Malaysia and other parts of the world and in getting flight here threatened the enrollment of some. International students' mobility and enrollment, by extension, will be impacted by these new economic and political realities. Many of the forecasts about the future global students' mobility have been decreasing in their outlook. COVID-19 has forced students all over the world to rethink about their higher education choices and how they can adjust their career goals. I really hope that this event, the Asia Technological University Network, or ATU-Net, Virtual University Presidents Forum 2020 Series 2, will bring us together in fighting and surviving the COVID-19 pandemic and make us stronger and be more prepared for any challenges that might come in the future. Global cooperation is key in building back together post-COVID-19. With that, thank you very much.
Dr. Nuraini for the keynote address, a very thoughtful and a very strong speech by the Minister, highlighting the vast efforts by her ministry in ensuring that all the higher education, especially in Malaysia, is ongoing as normal. And also in her speech, the Minister has also clearly highlighted her aspiration towards the important event and her expectation on the way forward for higher education post-COVID-19. So let us ensure that this event will deliver its objectives and meet the standards set by the Minister. So now, friends and colleagues, let us proceed to the next session, which is the question and answer session. So since time is a bit on the tight side now, what I will do is I will only allow one question to be forwarded to our Datuk Vice Chancellor, who is here with us. So can I have the question, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
I am DT.
Okay, please proceed. Please proceed with your question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
Okay. I would like to ask Prof, the post-COVID-19 actually is a call for all the academics and also students to be more innovative in developing digital interactive activity. So my question is, how do we develop soft skill of students through online activities such as webinar or a segment of sharing? And the crucial part to be answered is, how do we evaluate the soft skill of students through online events?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So, Datuk, would you like to respond to this question?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lee. I guess you are from UTHM or perhaps somewhere else. This is a very tough question. That is, how do we assess, evaluate the online learning? Of course, there are means and ways of assessing, but since I'm not an expert in it, perhaps some of you, the viewers, things like that, you're an expert in it. Please, give your views, and perhaps our Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academic would have some thoughts over it. However, as a personal note, I've done a bit of research on what we call the measurement of ethics. How do we measure ethics? So quite similarly, I think this is very intrinsic things to measure, is a bit of intangible things to measure, and therefore I think the best way to do that is number one, through the peer assessments. And this is only possible if, there is a close interaction within the subjects, a collaboration between peers and also groups of learners. So this is, perhaps is half empty a solution to the question that you are putting. I'm sorry that we need to put forward, and perhaps our guys and our researchers in our network will be able to answer you sometime later. So I'll keep that in mind and make sure that our university too will have some answers. Yeah, thank you, Lee.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee, for the question. It's a good question and a relevant question in regards to the situation that we are facing now. So measuring how to assess soft skills, how to measure something that we cannot see to evaluate is very difficult. So, and Datuk Vice Chancellor has rightly said that this is a process. We have to sit down and think on how to create a system that we can monitor or measure, essentially on soft skills of every student that we have. So thank you very much, Dr. Lee, for your question. Thank you, Datuk, for your answer. And actually, I was told that we may have time for another question. Can we have, is it okay, Datuk? We have another question. Sure. So, okay, can we have the next question, please? Can you mention please say your name, please? Identify yourself.
This is Jamal Hussein Didan from FKMP UTHM.
Okay.
Can I direct the question to our professor?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, we all know by now that actually preparing for pandemic outbreak on a university level require multidimensional efforts by individuals experiencing in the unique ways university functions. This may include the planning of theory, practical approaches, committee organization, community relations, and changes in development, human behavior, leadership, and emergency management. My question to our professor is how the university actually ensure the effectiveness of campus pandemic management plan.
Yeah, thank you. I think Mr. Jamal, yes. Mr. Jamal, yes. I think if you're a student of UTHM, I think you could have some thoughts of what actually we did. And I must inform you that almost every universities in Malaysia, I can talk basically on the public universities, that we have almost similar things, meaning that safety is most important, that nothing could replace or could, replace life. And therefore, we take that as our #1 priority. And then secondly is about the processes of learning. So after we make sure that, safety, health could be secured, then only then that we go to learning. Otherwise, we will not go into learning. You will have got to go into learning on your own or through learning online or virtually. So now, I think this October, we are, inshallah, that we're free from this COVID-19 pandemic, inshallah, and we pray hard for that. And in October, we welcome everybody from the safe area to come over. And this is a time that we should manage well, meaning that all the procedure and SOP, as also, lauded by our Minister of Higher Education, that must be followed through. Social distancing, physical distancing, and also making sure that the whole of the university is clearly free from the COVID-19. And don't worry about that. Please tell our students that we'll take care of, the safety of the universities from the entry point up to the exit point. And please, what we need is that everybody must, by themselves or ourselves, become the defender of our own community. That if you know anybody or suspects, then please inform us, and we will, pass them on to our doctors locally or in our hospitals here in UTHM, and they will manage that. So I hope that you will understood, and don't worry. And if you are an international student elsewhere and you have not made a comeback, please come back. But I must assure you that please follow the SOP. Please follow the SOP of the Malaysian government, which may be different from your government or other countries. But while you're entering Malaysia, that I urge you just to follow our rules and orders for SOP. Inshallah, that everybody will be safe and happy and will be able to learn better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Datuk, for your response to the question by Dr. Jamal Dida. Okay, so thank you very much for the question and also for the answer. I think Datuk has given us the assurance that UTHM is a safe, hopefully free COVID-19 area, inshallah. So we will try our best. We always follow the procedures as set by the ministry and as stated by the Vice Chancellor. Everybody from that point of entry until you leave, everybody is safe, inshallah, in this university. So now, Datuk, thank you very much, Datuk, for sharing your time with us in this forum. So I am certain that audiences will have appreciated your presentation this afternoon. Your ideas and thoughts will have enlightened the views of the audiences not only in Malaysia, but also, I'm sure, viewers around the world. And
I have the last question, Professor.
I'm sorry, we have to proceed with the next session. We are going to have a special session, engagement session, after at the end of this program. So that during this session, you can always you are allowed to communicate with our Vice Chancellor. He will be present during the special engagement session.
You will know. Yeah, I'll be around.
Yeah, our Vice Chancellor will be around. He will be in this room with all of us. So I must apologize, and because we need to proceed with the program. So I hope you can bear with us, and you can ask the question during the special engagement session at the end of this program. Is it okay with you? Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, let me proceed. And now what we are going to do, friends and colleagues all over the world, we are now going to view a special engagement video presentation from the community, academia, industry, and student representative. So please watch and let's enjoy the video.
Everyone affected by the pandemic COVID-19, either direct or indirect, especially for the academic world. Either you are from as a lecturer, either you are as a student, or you are academic provider. So we have changed dramatically from the face-to-face education to the everything is online. So what is we're looking for is the support system. We are looking for to maximize the best practice, and we are looking for more flexibility for the lecturer. And finally, we looking for to adapt best practice in our own university.
The government has already done a good job. The university has done their best to cater to the students' needs, and I think they're doing really good job. But obviously, in the near future, if we are having a pandemic or we're having any types of other disaster, maybe there is a better solution other than online classes, because obviously not everybody can afford online classes. Not everybody can have good coverage. As you guys can see from the news, there have been university students who have to climb up trees, they have to go up to the mountains, they have to be out from their houses just to get better internet connection. So for me, from my point of view, obviously the solution has to be one of two. The first one being either the government has to make sure that everybody has good Wi-Fi access, or second, there has to be a better solution than just online classes. This kind of crisis ever happening again, we should have a clear and better view and more efficient way to handle all the things that is happening to us as students.
Apa yang pihak industri harapkan daripada pihak universiti semasa COVID-19 punya time adalah pihak universiti dapat mengekalkan kualiti pengajaran to student lah. That mean once we doing video conference, kita akan kurang hands on So kena cari pihak universiti, kita harapkan expect universiti boleh find a way untuk kekalkan hands on punya training Yang teori ni boleh buat online semua kan, semua orang boleh buat. Kita nak UTHM cari cara yang mana kaedah ke method software ataupun anyhow to do online punya hands on punya online learning. Itu yang kita tak nampak lah. Macam anak-anak saya pun dekat rumah tengok assignment lambat-lambat tapi more on teori lah. So we hope that UTHM can cope on this, on the hands on, sebab UTHM terkenal dengan melahirkan graduan yang hands on dan berbanding universiti lain.
Apa yang berlaku pada masyarakat kita, yakni COVID-19 yang berlaku sekarang ini, walaupun kita berada di penghujung PKP sekarang, tapi satu benda pada masyarakat yang berlaku, ada satu kejutan yang tak pernah berlaku sebelum ni. Jadi kelangsungan hidup pada masyarakat, terutamanya dari segi pemakanan dan seumpamanya lah. Jadi satu benda yang amat mengejutkan pada masyarakat. Jadi apabila kita berada di tengah-tengah masyarakat yang sebelah kita ni ada Universiti Tun On Malaysia, jadi kalau boleh, macam mana pihak universiti boleh membantu masyarakat dalam keadaan yang satu kejutan kehidupan yang kita nak alami sekarang ni, nak meneruskan kehidupan selepas dan waktu itu dan selepasnya.
Okay, thank you. And welcome back, everybody. And I'm sure all of you have listened to, have watched the video and listened to the wish list by our commentators in the video. So all of them have some kind of wish that they would like to have during this pandemic, COVID-19. And even our village head is hoping that UTHM will able to assist the community in his village, inshallah. So now we come to the presentation by our 4 guest speakers. And as a reminder to all speakers, each speaker will be allocated 10 minutes of presentation time. And don't worry, I will give you a reminder when the 10 minutes is up. And the first speaker for today will be Professor Dr. Dayang Hajah Zohrah Haji Sulaiman, who is the Vice Chancellor of University Technology Brunei. And let me read her biodata before I call her to do her presentation. Professor Dr. Dayang Hajah Zohrah binti Haji Sulaiman began her career as a school teacher in 1988. A year later, she joined University Brunei Darussalam, UBD. She obtained her PhD in genetics from the University of Southampton, United Kingdom in 1994. Professor Dr. Zohrah was Deputy Vice Chancellor at UBD when she joined University Technology Brunei, formerly known as Institute Technology Brunei, as Acting Vice Chancellor in November 2012. She was appointed as Vice Chancellor on 1st January 2015. She spearheaded the transformation agenda of University Technology Brunei to be amongst the best 10 universities of engineering and technology in Southeast Asia by 2018. So her biodata is very long, so I will stop there. So without further ado, I will call upon Professor Dr. Dayang Hajah Zohrah to give your speech. Professor, can you unmute? We cannot hear your voice. Yeah, we still cannot hear your voice. I'm sorry.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
We can hear you now. Thank you very much. Please proceed, Professor.
Yeah, Professor. Thank you, Professor Dr. Aziz. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk TS Dr. Wahid Razali, Vice Chancellor of University Tun Hussein Owen, Malaysia. Distinguished guests, ladies and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. First and foremost, I'm very delighted to be here today at the ATU-Net Virtual University President Forum 2020 Series 2. I would like to thank ATU-Net for the invitation and the opportunity to present and share with others on how University Technology Brunei or UTB has been coping and transitioning towards digital mobility and e-learning amid the COVID-19 pandemic. If I can just share my screen. Can you see the screen? So that's basically the title of my talk today, the impact of COVID-19 on higher education institutions, a case for University Technology Brunei. So this is just a very brief introduction for members who do not know University Technology Brunei, and a little background on COVID-19 pandemic. Started in Brunei on the 9th of March 2020, and as the numbers escalated daily, the Ministry of Education, through the advice of the Ministry of Health, UTB had taken the precautionary measures in ensuring that the spread of COVID-19 was regulated and that the business continuity plan was activated. As the health, safety, and well-being of the community is the university's top priority, the university had decided to suspend face-to-face teaching and learning from 16 March 2020. Since then, UTB had been utilizing its online educational platforms and other non-face-to-face delivery methods of teaching and learning. However, the university remained open and operational with appropriate measures to protect the health of the community. So this is our strategies basically, in which we have said that we activated our business continuity plan and later on our academic continuity plan and then communication. So what we do, that we closely monitor the situation to ensure the best response to the needs and safety of staff and students. The business continuity plan included guidelines and precautionary measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. Some of the major action taken were, firstly, we postponed all activities organized by UTB that involve gathering a large number of people in public service. Then we ensure that the university is very clean. We disinfected the campus and its vicinity. And then we also perform checks on body temperature, providing face masks and hand sanitizer. Fourthly, we also exercise practicing social distancing and less interaction to limit unnecessary exposures. And then we also suspend all face-to-face teaching and learning activities in campus. So if you like, this is the academic continuity plan that we have, is to suspend all face-to-face teaching and learning, and then we transition to online instruction via University Moodle or other online platforms for all undergraduate and graduate classes. And then lastly, we convert all examination assessment to 100% coursework. So this meant that there was no campus examination held in the last semester. When I speak of last semester, this was between March and May of this year. So in another word, we have to actually quickly adapt and make necessary adjustment according to the changes during the period, during that period, and to strategize well in ensuring that the university could continue to operate and still produce a high quality experience for both students and staff. So as mentioned before, that the digital mobility highlighted the shift in teaching and learning, especially in ensuring the effectiveness of e-learning. In UTB, remote instruction were communicated often, and students would be updated on any changes through the online and social media platform. And we also have students who are undergoing the Experience Plus, meaning that they are attached overseas. And in fact, many host organizations abroad have taken similar measure in suspending face-to-face teaching and learning activities, as well as internship. As a result, we have to bring all our students from overseas coming back to Brunei. However, we continue to communicate with our partners in ensuring there is alternative assessment for our students. As for our staff well-being, what we do is to actually took up advice from the Prime Minister's office on implementing flexible working arrangement. Earlier in the implementation, the university had only allowed vulnerable staff, meaning that staff with underlying conditions such as diabetes, we do not allow them to work. But then after a while, we allow everybody to actually work from home on rotation basis, and this arrangement was actually implemented from 26 March until 27 June 2020. And we find that in our keynote addresses that the importance of community, and we were shown a video on community. We actually were involved in donating to our frontliners by providing dry food as well as medical scrub. We also look at our disadvantaged students. There are disadvantaged students who do not have means at their home to have internet communication. That is about 6.11% of the total student population. So what we do, we are also giving them a one-time financial support at the cost of Brunei dollars, $40 for each student. So let us look at challenges and opportunities. In fact, I'm sure you agree with me that COVID-19 pandemic challenged the readiness of a university as it was an unexpected crisis. UTB has to mitigate the psychological impact of COVID-19 on UTB community. Surely, there were feelings of worry and unease during the stressful events that might build up the anxiety and stress among students and staff. In ensuring safety across all the UTB community, staff and students were urged to follow all the guidelines and procedures provided by our BCP team in ensuring safety across UTB community. We must also find the balance between online learning and blended learning. We ensure a successful engagement with students through online learning, producing a high quality experience for the students. Then we ensure the campus is ready to accept students under the new normal transitions. We actually have opportunities to conduct survey on delivering online education platform usage of COVID-19 crisis at UTB, in which the students are very much keen to continue on blended learning arrangement, that is certain percentage of face-to-face and the remaining is going online. And it is also opportunity to promote creative learning method. And of course, during this time, no moderators from overseas, locum tenens that can come to UTB. So what we do is actually to have them online teaching, which is appear to be much cheaper compared to having them in campus. So that's opportunity for us. Now let me touch on how do we prepare for recovery. We are actually now on the 4th stage of de-escalation, and that already started on 27 July 2020. So we already accept students in the new semester on 27 July, but again, we are being advised by the Ministry of Health on how many people are allowed at any one time. Now the mass gathering is only up to 100 people at any one time. So we are doing blended learning via online and traditional face-to-face teaching. Examination will be conducted normally, and we will have local field trips, which we will have a risk assessment in place. And the rest is just doing the activity normally. So I just have this one here. This is just a timeline of our COVID-19 outbreak in Brunei. We formed our business continuity plan on 21st February. The 9th March is the first COVID-19 case in Brunei. We suspend our teaching 16 March, and then 27 July is when we start already to open our campus. Yes, Professor, is that?
Your slide is not changing.
Oh, really? It's from?
Yes, it's still on the first slide.
Really?
Yes. For some reason, I'm not very sure why.
This is also not moving. It's just this one here.
Yes, still on the first page.
Which is
as we are seeing now, it's still on the first page.
Yeah, that's very. I do not know how to control this. I may be so you cannot see my slides, is it?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Can you press the enable editing on the top?
Enable.
On the top of the screen, there's an enable editing. There's a yellow line. There's a yellow line on the top of the screen, and then there's the word enable editing. Could you press that button? Use the cursor to press the enable editing.
No, I cannot see the enable editing.
Oh.
Oh dear. This is still the same thing. So there is still you cannot see my slides.
Yes, but it's okay.
Dear.
It's okay, Prof. Just proceed. Just proceed.
Okay. Isa can you do something about this? I'm actually in closing actually. They cannot see the screen. Can you help? Can you come see? Sorry, I'm sorry about this. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. That's can you watch the my helper will help. So can I just say in closing, because I'm running out of time, Professor.
Yes.
Enable editing.
Enable editing, yes.
See, young people can do all this. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see it. Can you change the
That's the
slide?
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see your slide now.
Yeah, that's our strategies.
That's right. We can see it now very clearly.
Okay, thank you. So that's the challenges and opportunities. This is just a timeline of what's happening right now from 21st February when we form our own business continuity plan until 27 July where we are now in the 4th de-escalation phase. So hopefully nothing happens in the community, that we are just continue to open normally in October, and we are also will be holding our normal convocation, inshallah. This is what our hope is. So in conclusion, it has an impact on the university, but it also created rooms and opportunities for the university to grow its resilience when faced with the crisis. Without a swift and clear decision making concerning the changes within the university, it would not have successfully executed the above transformation to digital literacy. So we also look at the student performance. Overall, they did very well, not having examination, but rather coursework. And there were positive feedback from the students as well. And e-learning complement the direct teaching and learning process, although it could not replace it. And I mentioned about clear decision making had made the transition easier, and there is also a strong support within the university community. So that I can conclude with my talk. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Dayang Hajar Zora, for sharing with us the experience from University Technology Brunei. Very, very interesting talk by the Vice Chancellor of UTB. I can just point out a few points, which I think is very interesting to all of us, where UTB implemented 100% coursework with no examination. So that is very, very interesting and it's good that you share this with us, because I know some universities are implementing this as well. And as well, you mentioned a few things like that you will be implementing blended learning, which I guess is a combination with face-to-face and also online teaching as well. So yes. I think that's a good idea, a good example set by University Technology Brunei to all of us. So thank you very much, Professor Dr. Dayang Hajar Zara, for the excellent presentation today.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Aziz.
Okay, now we can go to the second speaker. And unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, Miss Christine, who is supposed to be the presenter for this second presentation, is unable to join us, and we will be presented by her colleague Datuk Bruce Lim, who is the Managing Director of JD Mass Commerce, which is a business partner of JD.com Malaysia. So just let me read Dr. Bruce Lim's biodata. Dr. Bruce Lim started his career as a lecturer in laws with teaching experience in Malaysia, Hong Kong and Singapore. He was later promoted to be coordinator for the laws program and subsequently the program manager responsible for starting the popular University of South Wales Master in Business Administration (USW MBA) program under the Postgraduate Center for ATC Group of Colleges. He has also driven the expansion of the Bachelor of Laws program for ATC College, overseas with collaboration with ITC College, Singapore, Lingnam University, and Hong Kong Poly University in Hong Kong. So without any further ado, I would like to call upon Datuk Bruce Lee to give your presentation. Datuk, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Actually, I'm Bruce Lim. So I've got 10 minutes. So this is very interesting topic or theme that we have today. And I'm fortunate enough to have experiences in both sides of the world. I started off as an academic, and then after that, I've got into property development, technical vocational education, and recently into cross-border e-commerce. I've always been very, very close to the retail industry, having been with the Malaysia Retail Chain Association for 8 years, 6 of them as their Deputy Secretary General, and I also retired last year as the chairman of the governing committee for the retail and F&B productivity nexus under MPC, which is a body under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. So recently, I have partnered with JD.com's cross-border e-commerce unit, which is called JD Worldwide. So I have to apologize that Mr. Christine Wong couldn't be with us because she's actually on a flight and so couldn't get out of the plane in China. So I'm here filling in for her. So I hope that I'm able to give you an insight from the cross-border or the e-commerce aspect of the industry and what practices or that we can share and we can learn from, you know, and adopt and adapt it in the education industry. Just a little bit about JD.com. It is a Fortune 200 company. Recently, it ranked 104. It went up a few notches in the Fortune 500 industry. It is listed both in NASDAQ in the US, and it had a second listing in Hong Kong on the 18th of June this year. So it is China's largest e-commerce company. It's known as Jintong, right? In China, it's China's largest e-commerce company with 89 billion US dollars in terms of e-commerce transactions in 2019. So why do we want to bring in JD.com and what insights or lessons that we can learn from JD? Well, if you look at JD's financial figures in the first 3 months, the first quarter of 2020, you find that, well, why is it so significant? Because the first 3 months of 2020 is where China experienced a major lockdown, you know, especially in Wuhan. And even if you look at their results being announced, even the first quarter results, there is a surge in terms of profit by 20.6% and accounting for 20.7 billion US dollars. So you find that e-commerce, you know, rather than being affected, actually thrived in the time where there is a pandemic. And the same trend could be seen in 2004, where, you know, JD became very, very popular during the SARS outbreak in 2004, and now JD again has come to the fore by through its e-commerce in 2020. Now, why is it so popular, and what can we learn from it? Because we know that we have always talked about e-commerce, and I've always been in retail, in the traditional industry. So retail is all about people in the middle, and it comprises majority SME companies, small, medium enterprises. And you know that with SME companies, retailers, we are faced with daily firefighting, limited access to funds, and therefore investments in technology, people development, innovation often takes a back seat, right? It's kept in the back burner, and right in the fore, it's always about meeting margins, meeting very, very high costs, overheads, and so on and so forth. But everyone's talking about the rise of e-commerce, the rise of omni-channel, O2O, but no one actually took any action until the COVID-19 pandemic struck, and you find that everyone is left with no choice but to get on board e-commerce. So you find that many, especially Malaysian companies, what it would take them 6 months, 12 months to get into an e-commerce programs, most can even get into it in as short a period as 2 weeks and even a month. So how has an organization such as JD able to operate even in the middle of a lockdown? First, you find that JD has invested a lot of its technology into its own logistics. So if you visit JD's warehouses, because it's not just an e-commerce company, it is also where they also do its own delivery. So e-commerce is just not about transacting and buying and selling online. It is also about keeping your goods in the warehouse, picking up the goods from the warehouse and doing the last mile delivery straight to the customer, because that really has an effect on customer experience. And JD has got many of these, what is known as unmanned warehouses. So if you're talking about Industry 4.0, this is where you have got warehouses 24 meters high, over 1 million square foot, and it's actually unmanned and it's dark because robots do not need lights. So you find that in the middle of a pandemic, these warehouses still operate. And number two, they have huge inventories. Number three, they use data technology. They are able to predict based on data, what is required, what are the purchasing behaviors of customers during the first month of a pandemic, the second month of a pandemic, third month of a lockdown. So they know first month of a lockdown, it's always essentials. Second month of a lockdown, you're going to get a lot of home purchases for your home gyms and so on. Third month, where you have a little bit of a more of a controlled MCO, that's where people go out, where there's a bit of recovery, and you find that there's a boost in terms of office supplies and things like that. So they are able to make very, very insightful discoveries about purchasing patterns of its customers. And lastly, JD has recently employed up to 260,000 people. So they have actually provided a lot of jobs for people who have lost jobs. So it's actually generating the economy as well. So what are we doing with JD in Malaysia as well? In Malaysia, we have got 50 over Malaysian brands, Malaysian SME companies. They are also affected. People are not buying in Malaysia. So we were thinking, what is the best way to pivot and transform these companies? And we say, let's go to the China market. Instead of selling to 30 million Malaysians, let's explore looking into selling Malaysian products, bringing it across the border using JD Worldwide's superior cross-border freight and e-commerce know-how. And let's go for the 1.3 billion population in China, of which 1 billion is registered with JD. So this is something we started in the middle of an MCO, the Malaysia, the Dekat Malaysia. And that's where we started with Zoom sessions like that. We got whole, we have support from MDEC, we have got support from Martrade, we have got support from MITI, from MPC. And that's how we got a few of these Malaysian merchants to come together and we make them cross-border e-commerce ready. And in order to do this, I think there were some themes that were shared by earlier speakers like Professor Dr. Zora about mindset change. So that's very, very important. And it's quite easy to do mindset change nowadays because all of us are hit with this pandemic. We've got no choice but to change our mindset. Previously, it's different because there's always this, we are quite complacent with what we have. And now it has shaken us right to our foundation. So this is a great time to approach Malaysian merchants, Malaysian businessmen, Malaysian SMEs for this mindset change and look into a growth mindset. You know, think of innovation, think of technology, think of branding, think of value that you can put into your brand and so on. Classic examples, we have got someone who sells tudung, okay, or scarves for 165 ringgit in Malaysia landed. But when we did our research, we found that that scarf can go for as high as 1,000 renminbi in China. So these are examples of packaging, in terms of branding, in terms of other means of getting value. So this is great. So it's not just a mindset of growth, branding. We also teach them how to go live using technology. Those days when we talk about digital marketing, it's just about landing pages and all. Right now, we are all on live on Zoom. We are live on Facebook, but in China, they don't have Facebook. So they have got their JD Live, JD Mission. They have affiliate marketings with like Kuaiso and so on and so forth. That's where we teach our merchants to engage their B2C customers live in China. And this is a tremendous experience for us to reach out to huge markets. So these are examples of how we try to help Malaysian companies pivot and transform their companies. So right now we have got 53 companies. We are going to launch Sempena Hari Malaysia in September, and we are going to do a launch direct straight to China live, and we are going to prepare getting our products on testing, on sampling to China. It's all being sent over. We take care because most Malaysian SMEs, they are not aware of how to take your goods overseas. So we settle warehousing in Malaysia here, cross-border freight, customs clearance, getting to a bonded warehouse in China, last mile logistics, e-payment systems, reports, business intelligence. And this has been an absolutely wonderful journey that we have with our merchants. And this is still a work in progress as we launch in Hari Malaysia. So hopefully we'll be able to see the results of what we want to do, because at the end of the day, everything depends on results. And we are all targeting the Singles Day sales in November. So that will be the one of China's largest e-commerce campaign that's going to take place on the 11th of November. Yeah, so we are all very, very pumped up, very, very excited. The data through sampling of Malaysian products in China has been excellent. We have got great advisors. I'd like to thank Martin Ang. Martin is my advisor. He's also a director of Julie's Biscuit. So give you an idea of how big Julie's is. They have started their e-commerce journey a little more than 5 years ago. And today they are doing 100 million renminbi every year just on e-commerce alone. And just going live over 7 minutes, they can make 1 million sales. So that's the power of cross-border e-commerce. We also work very closely with Julie's and Martin's team. And then we know in China right now, we are very lucky, very fortunate, because there's a heightened awareness of Malaysia and peranakan culture, Baba and Nyonya. There's a show called The Little Nyonya, 45 episode that's shown on iQIYI, which is the YouTube, I wouldn't say the YouTube, the Netflix of China. And it has got 600 million viewers. And everyone is now very curious about Malaysian culture, which fuses the Malay culture, the Chinese culture, Indian, and the Western culture. And it's quite interesting. I urge, if you want to watch it, you can. I watched it, and it's quite interesting seeing China actors and actresses berpantun dalam bahasa Melayu. Okay, so that's quite interesting. So with this renewed interest, we intend to launch it next year, and hopefully that will put Malaysia on China's map when it comes to cross-border e-commerce, because this thing can happen. JD is big, and we can ride on it, and hopefully that brings some success for us. In terms of virtual online learning, can we sell it to China? Online learning can be sold in China, but right now they have not opened it to cross-border yet. The moment it's open, then we probably can sell Malaysian courses from Malaysian universities to China via cross-border, but that time has not come yet. Right now, we are still limited to products under these existing JD categories. All right, so wish us all the best. It's been a pleasure sharing with all of you. Thank you very much. Back to you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bruce, for a very excellent presentation. No slides, just words, which means a lot. So yes, you did give us a very strong presentation today, highlighting the success of JD.com in China and as well as in Malaysia, and able to employ 260,000 people is a very excellent achievement by JD.com. So I'm sure I'm sure JD.com can share with us more with their experiences with regards to using the various technology that you have employed in ensuring that e-commerce is conducted successfully. So again, I like to thank Dr. Bruce Lim for sharing JD.com's success, and hopefully we can learn from you in the very near future. So I think we will now proceed to the third presenter. Okay, the third presenter will be Professor Chun Fai Leong, who is the president of the International Press-In Association Japan. So before I ask Professor Leong to proceed with his presentation, just let me read his biodata. So Professor Leong Chun Fai is a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at the National University of Singapore. He has been a staff member of the department since April 1981. Professor Leong graduated from the University of Liverpool with a bachelor's in engineering in 1977 and achieved his PhD and obtained his PhD in 1981. His PhD research topic is on centrifuge model study of vertical anchors. So without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Leong Chun Fai to give his presentation. Professor Leong?
Thank you. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. We can hear you.
I would like to share my screen and make a short presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can just see your screen.
Yeah.
Can you enlarge the? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we have. Thank you for the organizer to inviting me to take part in the capacity of the president of the IPA, International Press-In Association, which I take over as a president in June. And actually, I'd like to introduce in the audience Dr. Aziz, a faculty member from UTHM. He is a current vice president of the association. So we have a quite strong presence here. So we have speakers from the government ministry, from 2 universities, and one from the e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce. And now let me share experience from the academic institution viewpoint. So, but not many of you would know much about that. So I would need to introduce a few slides on the IPA. But the main presentation today will be looking at the academic resilience for IPA, right? Which I would like to bring out several points. Actually, as the last speaker, all the previous speakers have done a good job, and whatever I say may be repeating many of them, but I would like to take this opportunity to highlight that there are 2 key points we have actually spoken by the previous speakers, and I would like to use IPA example to highlight to you. So the First, the press-in technology is to install retaining structures for temporary excavation for special situations such as very close to existing building, very low headroom, and it has less noisy and less vibration. We have hundreds of such machines worldwide and over 70 in Singapore, and there is quite a number in Malaysia also. So like this photograph showing a Singapore project, right? It has very close to the adjacent buildings, so noise and vibration is a concern. And the next picture shows you that we need to do excavation. Typically, this will be the construction of drains, which were just essentially next to the building. We need to widen the drain to improve the drainage work. So this press-in machine would be the only one we can use it. So very quickly, to promote this technology, press-in engineering, essentially a multidisciplinary field, geotechnical, construction, mechanical, even electrical in terms of control. So in view of this, association was formed about 13 years ago in Cambridge University. So the founder president is Professor Malcolm Bolton from Cambridge University. And immediate past president is Professor Osamu Kusakabe from Japan. So I just take over, as I mentioned earlier, in June. It has over 700 individual members worldwide. And more important, the commercial participation, we have 55 members. So far, we have been publishing the handbook on press-in technology. And the first edition is in Japanese, and we have translated into English. And now we are looking for a publisher for the second edition of the English version. So we are also publishing the quarterly newsletter. And you can see if as an academic association, exchange of technology is important as highlighted in these 5 technical committees to interchange and promote the press-in technology. So not only that, we have a very large conference, over 300 people attending the first international conference on press-in engineering about 2 years ago. And we have also many seminars. For example, there's one held in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur in 2017, which was very successful, over 100 participants. And we have also these press-in engineering seminars, while we have these also held in the international workshop all over the world. So these are the highlight of the activities. So I'd like to highlight, right? Everybody know about the challenges. For example, every year we have the board of director meeting. So in June, we cannot hold it because of the COVID-19. We have to do it in correspondence because we can't do it online meeting because our board members are from all over the world, from Europe, from America, and from Asia. There's no common time. And we are actually scheduled to have an IPA technical seminar in Jakarta and Taipei in March, and it has to be postponed next year. But even at this stage, it is not very certain. So there are quite a lot of challenges. There are technical committee meetings have to go online rather than face-to-face plus online. Now, so our next major event is the second international conference on press-in engineering in June in Kochi, in Japan. Now, so you can see that it has been affected and the call for abstract has to be extended, and we still face uncertainty. We do not know whether by June 2021, the COVID-19 is over or not. So now how do we maintain, right, and following the academic resilience? So we believe that the newsletter is the most important link, and we are now already have the Zoom meeting between myself and the secretary, the headquarters in Tokyo. So we are going to expand this to the various level and to look at that. And we believe that the publication of the handbook in different languages would also be important to promote, to maintain the academic resilience. So we're talking about the second conference. What we have planned, you have to be, in addition to face-to-face, we have looked at the online option. Of course, when the matter getting even worse, then we could only have the online event, which is like happened today. Now, what my first message to the audience is that I would like to use our the Malaysian Minister of Higher Education. Right, she put up 3 important keywords. Planning. Obviously, we need to look at planning. And not only that, we need to be adaptive, right, by looking at things. So you see that every day, the circumstances, the conditions are changing. So we need to adapt before we apply. But even the whole process, planning, adapt, apply, is keep on changing. So every day we are on our toe, and we will keep changing. But you can see from the present development that I think human beings are very clever. I'm very sure that in the near future we will master the situation and make it what we call successful, and not much. That will be different from before, but in terms of the communication process, right? Not only that we can maintain, I think we will be getting better. So that's why I come to my concluding remark. As I say, we need to adopt and adapt. Now, what I find is from my experience with other organizations, such as one I'm heavily involved with, is the Geotechnical Society of Singapore. So they have actually joined hands with the Malaysian Geotechnical Society, Hong Kong Geotechnical Society, and we have formed a Zoom seminars. And we find that now actually, not only it will that it will provide us great opportunity, right? As our previous speaker mentioned, right? Our Vice Chancellor from UTB and our Mr. Lim from the JDCom on looking on all these things, and they definitely to be not only we can maintain, we can actually expand, because now online activity, there are actually no boundary. So using the joint geotechnical seminars between Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong, and actually we have very strong audience, and every time this joint seminar would have a few hundred participants, and they are getting more and more popular. So therefore, I think we should not feel bad, and actually this provide us, although it provide us challenges, it also provide us new horizon and under the new normal situation. So I would like to share with you from the academic viewpoint. Thank you for your kind attention, and thank you very much for paying attention.
Thank you, Professor Leong, for your excellent presentation. Again, this afternoon we have listened to another view from the industry about how we can build academic resilience, and you have rightly said, Professor Leong, about 3 key words mentioned by the minister, which is to plan, to adapt, and to apply. And of course, you are right in saying again that all these 3 keywords will have to change according with the time and the circumstances that we face. And again, I'd like to say thank you very much, Professor Leong, for a well thoughtful and good presentation. Thank you very much. So now let us proceed with the fourth and final speaker in this session. The fourth and final speaker will be Professor Dr. Ismail Abdurrahman, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International from University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. And again, I will read his biodata before I allow him to proceed with his presentation. So, Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman completed his undergraduate study in civil engineering from University Technology Malaysia, UTM. He then pursued his MSc in Building Services Engineering at Herod Watt University, Edinburgh, and finally obtained his PhD in Building Engineering from the University of Manchester, UK. He is a professor in civil engineering at the Faculty of Civil and Environmental Engineering, UTHM. In 2018, Professor Dr. Ismail was appointed as the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic and International at University Tun Hussein on Malaysia until today. So without any further delay, I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman to proceed with his presentation. Prof, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Aziz. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon and good evening. So basically, I would like to share my presentation on sharing the experience on handling the teachings and learnings during and after COVID-19 pandemic. So basically, I have around 4 slides. So the first slide is about the planning of teachings and learning, the delivery for during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the second slide will be the executions of the planning of the distance learning. And the third one, sharing with the issues faced by the student and also the lecturers in implementing the new normal of teaching and learning. And finally, sharing the continuous assessment and improvement toward the teaching and learning in UTHM. Next slide, please. So during the lockdown, we have to plan on how to carry out or conduct a new norm in delivery of teaching and learning. So we have to find the right way, the right method that will fit UTHM, okay, in delivering the teaching and learning to our students. So we have to we analyze the pro and con in delivering the teachings and learning in the new normal. So we have to do the assessment. We have to know what is the hindrance that if we want to carry out or conduct full online learning. So after we make the assessment, we found out that if we want to do a full online learning, there's a lot of difficulties, especially when our majority of our students are under they call it B40, below 40 income groups. So it is about the affordability on getting the internet. So that is why, and finally we come out with so-called the distance learning, whereby in this distance learning we blend the delivery of the teaching and learning in a 2 mode. They call it synchronized and asynchronized approach. So basically, when we deliver the so-called distance learning, 2 important factors are considered. The first one, we have to consider the student accessibility to the distance learning, and second one is about the quality of the delivery. So in terms of the quality of delivery, we are focusing on the achievement of the CLO, that is a course learning outcome, and also according to the student learning time. These are the 2 criteria that is govern the quality of the delivery of the teaching and learning. So we have to, we do the engagement with the lecturer, we do the engagement with the students, student body, their opinions, okay, getting their opinion before we formulate the planning and the teaching and planning delivery in UTHM. Next slide, please. Now, when we do the distance learning, we have to understand the present, I mean face-to-face, the conventional method of delivery, and how we migrate from the face-to-face delivery into a distant learning. So we have to do some articulation in terms of the delivery. So what are the subjects? What are the subjects that can be delivered online, and what are the subjects that can't be delivered online? So what are the alternatives that we have? So we have to consider all these aspects. And then discussion, a lot of discussions have been engaged with the faculty's members and also the lecturers together with the student. So we formulate a trials delivery of distance learning for 2 weeks before we implement the exact delivery of the teaching and learning through distance learning. So within that, we also do the survey to assess whether the delivery according to what we have planned. So during the trial period, because this is a new way of delivery, there's a lot of hiccup, especially on the teaching contents and the readiness on the student and also the lecturer. So I have to mobilize the unit on the global learning unit, and also the quality controls CAD, they call it Center for Curriculum Development. So with these two bodies, they are looking on the quality of the delivery and also the method of the delivery. We formulate a new breed of a delivery to ensure that with all the constraint is taken care during the delivery of the teaching and learning. We do some survey to assess like we do survey on the 15th April by the student representative and also from the Global Center of UTHM to see what is happening on the ground, to get the perceptions from the student and also from the perspective of the lecturer. Okay, next please. Now these are the example of issue faced by the student. For instance, the student face a new type of distance learning. The student react in a different manner because they are staying at home. Some of their homes are conducive for distance learning, while others may be the other way around. So these are the things. They are having a problem of the internet reach out, the quality and the reliability of the internet. There's another issue. So they need to shift their paradigm of thinking. If they are still maintain, they are complacent with the conventional method, okay, they are reluctant to move to on the online teaching. So they cannot accept the new type of delivery. And then the conduciveness and the infrastructures, these are important things. And the student, they call it a B40 student, they don't have the internet connection to their house. In terms of the lecturer, the issue that they face, not enough material for the distance learning, okay, and some of the lecturers are not really competent. They are not that competent enough to conduct the lecture online. So, and also the readiness in delivery the online. So in terms of the faculty, they are having the difficulties of recording the student attendance, and some of the students are missing in action. So how to handle this? So we have to look on the top management role. These are some of the, I'm just giving the general descriptions, the stepwise, that what we have done to handle all this issue is about the top management role. We do a lot of meeting, looking on the way to improve this online learning. And then we have to empower the faculties, the deans to to ensure that the delivery of the teaching and learning at the ground are what we have been planned. And then we also educate and provide training for our lecturers, especially on the delivery online and also on the contents of the online. And then we also motivate the staff. Then we practice flexibility. Okay, flexibility at this under the circumstances, very tense circumstances on delivery. So flexibility is very important. Then we have to do a lot of communication and engagement. So we also engage with the telco, the provider, to ensure that it helps our student, because our student is all over Malaysia. Okay, next please. So these are the few of the finding that we got from our survey. So survey about the distance learning. So basically what I can generalize from this finding that 80% of our student, 81% of our students attend the class, okay, according to the lecturer. Only around 18 are missing, or they cannot be traced. And then about the lecturer readiness, about 76% of the lecturers are ready, and 22 are less ready, and 2 are not ready. So with all this data, we have to rectify. Okay, we do training, we do the engagements to the respective lecturers and also to the student. We have to do the micromanaging to the individual lecturers and also to the individual student. And we also found out that the student, they are, in terms of the examinations, okay, are they ready or not ready? So from the perspective of the student, so basically 71% are not ready. This is common for the student, for not ready for the examination. Even if it is delivered face to face, they will say that they are not ready. So we have to look on the broader perspective. So with this all the result of the survey, so we have to analyze and we have to keep on changing the method and the delivery. And what I can share is that the assessment will be different. So the assessment that we give to the student is different as for the face-to-face teaching and learning as compared to the online learning, because we can't avoid that the test and examination to be under one roof and a controlled environment. But in this case, the student, the tendency that they are copying each other. So what we did is that we have to set a question that is more on the application rather than a question that is on memorizing. So that will be a good way of making our student more on the problem solving rather than more on the retention of the facts and figure. So that will be, I think, hopefully, with this method, the student is more capable in solving the problem rather than memorizing the fact. So I think that will be my talk for this afternoon. Maybe if there is a Q&A, then more sharing will be, I'm willing to share more on the teaching and the learning that we experience in UTHM. Okay, I give it back to.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Ismail, for an excellent presentation, basically sharing the experiences of how UTHM overcome teaching and learning in this COVID-19 pandemic. So, I was one of the lecturers as well who had to go through the process of adopting and adapting with the new system, with the new arrangement. So I have to say that it has been a good experience for all of us. It has been a good experience, and I'm sure all the lecturers that has gone through the process has benefited from all these changes that has been enforced upon all of us. So I believe that all the lecturers are very pleased with what they have done so far. But of course, they would prefer. They were hoping to do better. But then again, it all depends on the system that we have, the technology that we have, the ability of the academic staff to adopt and adapt, and as well, and finally, the students themselves must also be able to adopt and adapt with the new situation. Right. So thank you very much, Prof. Ismail Abdul Rahman. It has been good that you share with us, to all of us, about how UTHM went through the process of teaching and learning during this COVID-19 pandemic. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have listened to 4 speakers, 2 speakers from the academia and 2 speakers from the industry. So, and I think all 4 speakers have done an excellent job this afternoon. They've shared with us all the experiences that they had, and they have really outlined to all of us about how we can build the academic resilience in this post-COVID-19 world. So I'm sure there will be questions that viewers would like to ask our speakers. Now, I have to say that time is not very kind to all of us now. We've just gone beyond 4:30 p.m. and then so what I will do is I will allow questions to be asked, and depending on the on the responses by the speakers, we'll see how many questions that I will allow to be forwarded to speakers. So for the time being, I would like to allow first question to be forwarded to the speakers.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Please tell us your name.
I am Salam Mustafa, lecturer in FSKTM UTHM.
Okay.
I would like to thank the speakers for their information about the post COVID-19 and the possible arrangement to improve our performance in the future. My question to the presenters, especially Prof. Dr. Ismail, is the academician, and I am one of them, were struggling in maintaining the performance while achieving their KPI during the COVID-19. So based on this experience, what are the best post-COVID skills that should be obtained by the academicians to facilitate the teaching and learning process for the next semester and the coming years?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So, Prof. Ismail, this question is for you.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Salama, is it?
Dr. Salama, is it? The name is Salama?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Salama. Okay. Basically, we are a lecturer. We have a lot of tasks. I believe that we have to do the teaching, and then we have to write paper, do research, do the services, everything. So we are juggling with all the KPIs and so on and so forth. But I believe that, as been mentioned by the previous speaker, is about the resilience that we have. Hopefully, with all the hardship that we have undergone during this COVID, will make us a better lecturer in future, because we have gone through the so-called the adaptability in confronting the COVID issue. And you know, during the COVID issue, we have to at the same time the difficulty because this the COVID, the pandemic is unprecedented occasion where we are actually everybody is not ready. You know, we are not ready to face these circumstances. So I think with all, if we have gone through this COVID-19, we will much better with all the values that been induced during this COVID-19. I don't see any problem for the lecturer to be a better, you know, they can perform much better. It's just a matter of you can't be a Superman. You can do everything at one time. So maybe certain aspect you may be a little bit loose, while the other aspect will be you should strengthen it. So basically, as a whole, I think with all the self-management during the COVID, I think when you conduct the teaching and learning through online, you have to be self-motivated, self-disciplined. So these are the value that induced during the period of COVID. Then I believe that if you maintain this sort of positive value, okay, is carried out after the COVID, so you can be a better person. So there is no, you know, there's no Panadol can solve all the the problems. So we have to be smart in dealing with all these issues. I think that's my my response to the question.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Ismail.
Can I have the second question, Professor?
Okay.
I was the one who was up of a while ago.
Okay, yes, yes, madam. Please, can you just tell us your name and then where you are from, and then please could you just tell us the question is to whom, to which speaker?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I am Professor Milagros Baldemor from the Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, Philippines. Okay. So I am the former Dean of the College of Graduate Studies. So may I ask the question to Professor Rahman?
Yeah. Yes, proceed, please.
Yeah. So being an academician, I am always for quality education. So I am from a developing country, and as much as I wanted to, we always encounter problems in the implementation of online instruction. So we send teachers or lecturers to seminars. We use instructional materials and varied educational methodologies and strategies. Yeah. However, our problem here is on the part of the tertiary students, where, because we are in a developing country, some students do not even have Android phones. They don't have laptops, and signals are very difficult in their places. Yeah. So still we believe in blended learning, but as much as possible, we limit face-to-face classes this time. So I know Malaysia is far better in terms of internet connections compared to the Philippines. But with this scenario, can you give us recommendations on how to solve this problem? Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. So basically, during the lockdown, period, when we conduct teaching and learning, so our student is they are staying at home. They are all over in Malaysia. So some part of Malaysia also having the problem of internet connection. That is why we adopt a system, or they call it distant learning. We don't say that we deliver our teaching and learning through online, because if it is online, it must be through real time delivery. So we adopt a system they call a distant learning. So in distant learning, so we have to make do with several modes. See, we are doing the synchronized and asynchronized approach, whereby we also use through email, through phone, and to the extreme, we send it through post and courier services to our student. So we will try to make sure that, because I've directed the lecturer that they have to, the important thing, the student accessibility to the teaching and learning. This is the most important things. So if the student, okay, if they cannot get the mode through online learning, online teaching and learning, then they can it through phone and the other mode of delivery. So it just, we have to make do whatever we can do to engage the student, to make sure that the student is not left out. Any of the student is not. So we are having around 16,000 students, 16,000 student undergraduate. We will make sure that every student, we engage every student to make sure that all the material stuff is delivered to them. So we have to make all, you know, these are the thing. It is not only in Philippines, even in Malaysia, over having the problem of internet connections. But we have to do different mode of connecting our students. That I can say that the hustle that we have gone through in the delivery of teaching and learning. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful to the lecturer of UTHM. They are willing to work together. I think the best thing is that to do a lot of engagement with the lecturer, okay, get the participation from the lecturer with their, you know, their willingness. This is about the willingness, and also get the engagement with the student body. So they will engage within the student and within the lecturer. So if everybody is happy while doing this under difficult situation, then thing will be, you know, it can help a lot. So it is more on, I don't really practice or, you know, just putting a cane, something like that. But it's more on engaging, make them believe that this is the way forwards. And I think on the silver lining of this COVID-19 will be, it expedites, you know, the teaching of learning for the future. This is going to be a way forward for the UTHM to be at a global, to be one of the global player in delivery of teaching and learning, hopefully. So there's no, that's why I say there's no one method. So even in the coming semester, I'm adopting, I call it a hybrid approach, whereby partly will be conduct through face-to-face and partly will be conduct through so-called distance learning or online approach. So we don't have the right, we cannot be very rigid in any formula, because the variability and the parameters keep on changing. So the best thing is that we have the framework. So what I did, I have the framework of teaching and learning and also the assessment. And then with this framework, I give it to the faculty. The faculty will do the micro managing to the student. And any problem, they will bring back to me. Then I have to redesign at the drawing board and then put it back. So it is to and fro. The system is to and fro. So because there's a looking on at the actual delivery on the ground, there's a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of problem. So that is why we have to do that sort of approach. Okay, give it to the, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Ismail. Thank you, Professor, for asking the question. So I hope you have managed to grab the idea that what Professor has been mentioning just now. So
Yes, I
thank you.
did, Prof. Thank you very much.
All right. So friends and colleagues, I think we are unable to continue with the question and answer session. Time is so precious now, and we will now come to the end of this event. But before that, ATU-Net would like to announce the official launch of the ATU-Net Online Global Classroom, or ATU-Net OGC. So there will be a video presentation, so please watch and enjoy the video presentation.
The new norm presents us with opportunities to reinvent new model of learning and campus experience for students, so that students are able to not only survive but thrive and flourish. The ATU-Net Online Global Classroom, or ATU-Net OGC, is one of the initiatives by the Smart Partnership of ATU-Net. It is a new study model that could engage students from various parts of the world to meet in one place, anywhere and anytime. The students will be able to access education delivered by international educators. I would like to invite all universities to become part of this initiative, and I wish all a fruitful and meaningful exchange of ideas in the ATU-Net UPF 2020.
Thank you very much, Dato Professor IR Dr. Wahid Omar, being the chair of ATU-Net, for officially launching the ATU-Net OGC. So this ATU-Net OGC basically opens up doors for learning, sharing and networking, connecting learners across Asia and beyond. So I hope everyone watching will share this information to your colleagues using this new tool to stay connected. Now, for any further information with regards to ATU-Net OGC, viewers can proceed to the ATU-Net website. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, we have come to the very end of the session. And before I end the session, I'd just like to give two reminders. I was asked to give you these two reminders to all of us. Firstly, with regards to the slides, because there were many of the viewers and audience participants were requesting the slides to be provided, and this has been promised by the organizers that all the slides will be available in FB UTHM, Facebook, UTHM Facebook. So please go to FB UTHM and you will be able to obtain the slides in there. And secondly, before we end the session, okay, we will have a group photo. So all viewers who are in Zoom, please, when I request all of you, please open up your Zoom windows and show your faces, because we would like to take a group photo of all of us, and we will put that in our website. So, so these are the two things that I request that I would like to deliver to all of you, to remind you. Again, don't forget a group photo before we end this session. So as a reminder to all of us again, okay, all Zoom viewers, please do not leave just yet. You are invited to have an engagement session with the Vice Chancellor of University Tun Malaysia, and this session will come shortly after this. So before that, we will have this group photo. So please, everybody, please open up your Zoom windows. Please show your faces so that we can see all of you. Because we will be taking a group photo. Yeah, there's a lot more who is yet to open their windows. Don't worry about how you look like. It's okay. All right, is this okay? Or still there's some more? Still not yet? Okay, so what's the situation? Are we okay? Can we proceed with the group photo now? Oh, it's done. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. So it's done. Thank you very much, everybody. So we've come to the end of the session. I have to say thank you very much to everybody who has been with us for this 2 hours plus in this session. I must thank my Vice Chancellor, Dato' Wahid Razali, and also my Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Ismail Rahman, who has been with us since this afternoon until today. So, and also to all my friends and colleagues who are in front of me now. All of them are here. All of them are all with us, and without them, this session would not have been conducted successfully. So with that, I thank you again, and don't forget, we'll have an engagement session with our Vice Chancellor and Deputy Vice Chancellor. So with that, I would like to say goodbye, and all the best from us to all of you. So, goodbye, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay.